There have been 5 changes to the rules of golf for 2023. So what are they, and could they save you shots?
Now, if you've hit your ball in a penalty area, you're probably going to be taking back on the line relief. And there's been a slight change to this rule, which is pretty interesting. So we're obviously going to go back in line with the point and entry and the pin, and then we're going to drop back on that line. And we can go as far back as we want. That's always been the case. But now when we choose to drop this ball, you get 1 club length in any direction on that line from where you've dropped. So I dropped here and the ball rolled forward. In the past we would have had to re-drop that because it's deemed as nearer the hole. But when we think about this, we've hit our ball in that hazard. So this ball isn't nearer the hole. So now once you drop that ball, you get 1 club length in any direction all the way around. So next time you drop in, bear that in mind. It doesn't matter if your ball goes forward, you don't need to re-drop if it does so. Now, there is actually a new rule about your ball being moved by natural forces. So be that wind, gravity here in terms of a slope, but this only comes into play after you've taken relief. So here I had a plugged ball in this slope, so I've dropped it. The ball has come to rest. That's really important. The ball has to come to rest after you've dropped it. I've then wandered off to check my line where I want to pitch this, and the ball's run back into the bunker. Now, because I've dropped that ball and then it has come to rest and then it has been moved by natural forces after like 10-20 seconds, I'm allowed to replace that ball back where it was because it's not really my fault and I shouldn't have to play out of the bunker when I was on the grass. Now, this would count if your ball had rolled out of bounds, rolled into a water hazard, anywhere that it's rolled into a different area of the golf course. This might sound silly, but you will remember this happened to Ricky Fowler at the Waste Management a few years ago. He drove it in the water hazard. He dropped it by the green because it was red staked, and as he went up to check his shot, the ball rolled back into the water and he had to take another penalty drop, which was ridiculous and really could have affected the overall tournament because he was very close to the lead at the time. So I think that's definitely influenced this a little bit. It's definitely one to know about, especially if you're dropping on kind of really cut fairway near water hazards because the ball has a lot of potential to roll away. Now, in the past, if you were playing pairs golf, you could kind of use your partner's putt, especially in 4-ball, to learn a little bit about the putt you had coming up. Be standing behind the ball, standing slightly off the line and seeing what your partner was doing and where the ball was moving. This rule has changed recently, so you can no longer stand on an extension of your partner's line of the putt or even slightly off to the side of it, anywhere where it's deemed that you're going to try and gain information from their putt. So make sure next time you're playing 4-ball or foursomes, you're standing well out of the way of your partner's putt because this will give you the general play penalty. So you'll get a 2-shot penalty or it will be loss of hole in match play. Now, there have been a couple of rule changes when it comes to the scorecard. Previously, it was always your responsibility to put your handicap down on the card, and you had to make sure you do that before you handed your score in. But this has all changed now, and some of that comes down to the fact you have your handicap and then your playing handicap, which is obviously different at every golf course. So this has been flipped around, and now it's kind of your club's responsibility to work out your handicap and put it on the scorecard. So the handicap committee should be doing this for you, and it's no longer your responsibility. Now, this is how the R&A wants it to run. There is a local rule option where clubs can flip it, so it is back to your responsibility. So it is worth checking, but for the most part, you shouldn't be responsible for putting your handicap on your scorecard anymore. Now, another big change with scorecard comes with signatures. Before, if you or your marker forgot to sign your scorecard, you would straight up be disqualified. Now, the committee can choose to bring in a local rule which overrides this. So if they think it's been done accidentally, not on purpose, and that you should be allowed to come back and sign it, they can just give you a 2-shot penalty instead of disqualifying you. Obviously, this is pretty good because it means your scorecard still counts. That 2 shots will go on to the last hole you'd played in terms of for competition, and then you could just go on and still stay in the competition. So definitely a good rule change. Check with your club if they've brought it in or not, or maybe just remember to sign your scorecard.